Hey guys, what's up? We're back, Horror Flick Chicks. Here again with another episode of the Horror Flick Chicks podcast. I'm Sandra, and here is Sonia and Angie as always. Hi, ladies.
Hi.
I feel like when I do the two peace signs, I'm like too much like Ronald Reagan. Anyway, I'm sorry. It happens though. Okay.
Isn't that Nixon?
Oh, Nixon. All these.
Not a
It
crew.
was before my time, you guys. Sorry.
Yeah, it's before ours too, but I know who it was. Anyway,
Anyway,
Nixon, Reagan, they were all terrible. Anyway, moving on.
all right. So,
That's the end of the podcast, guys.
you know what's not terrible? This episode of The Last of Us. Let's go.
that was great.
Really good. Okay, go for it.
So, hopefully you've been watching our last few episodes. We've been doing podcast episodes on the HBO series The Last of Us. And today we're talking about the latest episode, which is episode 6 called Kin. Another great episode. Another storyline kind of completed. Not completed, but I guess I don't know.
Added.
Yeah, pieces added. So this episode, it leaves starts where the last one kind of left off when we lost Henry and Sam, and Joel and Joel and Ellie are back on the road again. Uh, we they're still trying to find Joel's brother, Tommy.
Yep.
And they get stopped by a bunch of people on horses.
Wait, hold on. Before you get there, can I just say, like, the feels of this episode was super like Western
Yeah.
movie
It
type
was.
for me. Yeah, so they kind of are like trekking it, trying to find Tommy and trying to get Ellie to where he needs to place her. And as they're riding off, they're kind of getting also like, again, cozy with each other and like daydreaming about like what's going to happen in the world once she saves it all. And you could tell that, Joel is like kind of dreaming about like a farm with sheep, and like he's kind of just, he's kind of just thinking about himself. And she's like, oh, interesting, a farm with sheep, like great.
Well, we kind of missed something in
where
the
we'll
beginning,
be,
right? The beginning of the episode started with them with a couple, an older couple in a cabin.
Yeah.
American Indian couple.
Oh yes, that's right.
Oh yeah, so, the natives. Yes.
Yes. So basically
the couple, they were amazing. Yes.
The husband comes in with, he shot some rabbit, and he's coming in. He comes back to the house and the wife is sitting there, and Joel comes out. He's in there with a gun and trying to figure out where to go and trying to get some help. And they were funny, the couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were really funny. They were like an old married couple that's been together, like, in obviously in this like weird world.
The wife gave Joel soup and was like,
she was like, it's cold out there. She's very sweet. And then they meet Ellie and they're like, who's this brat? Like, who's this psychopath? And then, they kind of get the information that they need. They kind of tell them, like, how do we get west? They're like, you don't go west, you go east.
Right.
So they're kind of just informing them that it's a really like dangerous road where they're going. They show them on the map there's like a river of death, and they kind of warn them not to go there. And so so like on the way over there, they're getting like chummy and like asking each other questions and daydreaming, like I mentioned. And eventually they get to this spot on this hill where like Sandra was getting at, where they meet a bunch of like people by that river that surround them and kind of are like, okay, you're not going anywhere until we figure out who you are, what you're doing here. That was actually a really scary moment because I thought something was really going to happen during that time when the dog was
with the
sniffing
dog,
Ellie.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if anybody else felt that way, but I was like, oh no, their doggy is gonna sniff her out.
And it's interesting because she is technically infected, and if the dog can smell infected,
well, I think
maybe because her blood is the cure. So
I just think it's because she doesn't have the symptoms. She
maybe
bit and yeah, she's infected, but she doesn't have the symptoms. So I was like, part of me was like, oh my God, the dog's gonna sniff it out and something's gonna go wrong here. Or the dog's not gonna sniff anything because of that reason. She's not infected, she doesn't have symptoms, so he's not gonna sense anything.
I don't know. I
wasn't sure. It was scary though, because I wasn't sure.
I thought Joel was gonna have to, pull out some. I thought there was gonna be gunfire.
I thought it was.
I thought because he was looking real nervous too.
He was very nervous. Yep.
And so
I feel like he was trying to think of like, should I tell them? Yeah, she's been bit, but should I say something? Like he was on the fence about doing that. That's what
because there's nothing really that he could do. If they say if you're infected, we're gonna shoot you, and she's infected, what is he gonna do? Try to stop him? There's too many of them. He would die.
Yeah, that was kind of hard. Like I didn't know what was gonna happen.
It was rough watching that. Anyway, so these I want to call them rangers. I don't know what to call them.
I feel like I kept thinking cowboys because they had the cowboy hats.
This
on the horses.
Cowboys. I don't know if I would call it a gang because they didn't seem mean. They seemed frightened as well. Yeah. Anyway, so they asked them like, no, okay, so now you got 10 seconds left, like, 10 seconds more, like, what are you doing here?
Right.
And Joel then says that he's looking for his brother, one of the cow people.
Yeah. Cow people.
Right.
Cow people?
Cow persons.
One of them, the woman, the only woman in the whole, I think
so, yeah.
Anyway, she comes up and she's like, oh, what's your name? And he says, my name is Joel. And that's when you're like, oh, dun dun dun. They know where Tommy
her face that she knew who he was.
Right. Yeah. So they bring him back to their compound. And as they're kind of riding into the, old Western style, with the horses. Joel sees Tommy and he's like, Tommy.
Yes. Oh, brothers reunited.
That was nice. So the way they ran to each other, I was like,
yeah.
Can you imagine all these years?
Yeah.
And they're still like they're in two separate parts of the world or the country, and they find each other like that's crazy. Like,
also, I didn't look this up, and I could be totally wrong and mistaken, but did Tommy look different? Is this a different actor? I'm not sure because they were changing actors.
I think it's the same guy.
I think it might be the same guy. Anyway, he still looks good because like even Joel was like, you still look young. And how do I look like this?
Yeah.
But to be honest, like as he learned more, he realized that Tommy, met these people as well, and then decided that he was just gonna like stop running and join them basically. And they had
they helped and they took him in.
They took him in. They found this. They had this compound. He's kind of well rested. He's not exactly like Joel, who's been like, on the road.
Yeah.
And so at some point they sit down with them. They sit down with Tommy, and who we later learn is Maria, the cow person. Sorry, the ranger. And they sit down with them, and then they tell them like, so what are you looking for? What are you trying to do here? And it's like, what are you trying to do here? So basically like, eventually Joel is like, so yeah, I'm here for my brother. Like I was looking for him before I drop this one off. So at some point, you know, like Maria kind of like steps in, and then that's when Joel is like, this is a conversation for family. And then Tommy is like, this is family.
Yeah.
And it makes this awkward moment where everybody just kind of stops what they're doing. I guess Joel was not expecting that
Not
to
expect he
happen.
didn't. Yeah.
And Ellie was really funny. I thought that was a funny moment where she's like,
She's hilarious.
congratulations. And she's like, Joel, say congratulations. Anyway, we eventually learn that they, you know, are a couple. And it seems like Tommy is like pretty comfortable where he's at. So next thing
And they're
happens,
pregnant. They're pregnant too.
Yeah. So later on, we realize during their Joel and Tommy's discussion that, you know, separate from Ellie and Maria, is that she's pregnant, and so he's really not looking to move anywhere because he's trying to make his life now.
He's made a life there.
And yeah, it was kind of sad to see, like, you know, like Joel was just like, oh, okay, like we'll see what kind of dad you're gonna be. He's like, that's what you have to say. And you know, I guess, like, you know, Joel obviously, like, there's this part of him that's like has had that life, and it is really difficult, and he's probably also looking at people you know, in ways like, why would you do this to yourself?
Yeah.
You know, and also, why would you do this to me? Because
right, to me, yeah, because his whole purpose, like, since the beginning, was to find his brother,
right?
So they can reunite, and now he found him, and he doesn't want to go with him.
Yeah.
So
you know, I mean, it was a kind of a sad moment, because like then Tommy's just kind of like, well, you know, unlike you, my life didn't stop, you know. And that was a rough one. Yeah. So eventually we learned that, you know, Tommy's not obviously ready to leave. And Joel is like, to hell with all of this then. Like, you should probably take Ellie yourself. And, you know, like, you know, he kind of promised him that he would. I'm sorry, I'm probably talking too much, but I do want to say, like, during this time, Ellie and Maria go to a house that's empty so that Ellie can kind of wash up. And there was a girl there who was about her age, preteen, who lived in the house many years prior. So she had like her, you know, her pre-teenage, she
has stuff there. Room.
Yeah. And, you know, Maria laid out some stuff for her. And I just want to point out, Diva Cup, amazing. I thought that was a great little ad for the Diva Cup. And definitely during those times, you're going to want one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the stuff that
listen, friends,
people need.
Forget everything else. You're going to want a Diva Cup.
It's funny.
Yeah, specifically, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's funny that I forgot which episode it was, but when they went to that store and she went into the basement and she found that box of tampons, she was like, yes.
Yeah.
And like, you know, that's gonna last you, you know, maybe 4 months. Maybe.
Right, exactly. And you know, a Diva Cup will last you 10 years, honestly. It really will. So just want to point that out, because like women are finally like starting to talk about the Diva Cup a lot more now. I think it's a lot, you know, the problem is that it's been around since forever, probably even prior to the 70s, but let's say the 70s. The only problem is that advertising like screwed things up. And anyway, so just putting that out there, that this is
it's kind of funny, because online I saw a couple places where people were asking questions. What was it that Maria gave Ellie? Like, people didn't know.
They don't know.
And even
it's
like
pretty bad.
Even as we were watching it, and they was like, oh, he's like, oh, what's that? Like, what's it?
Oh, he asked. Eddie didn't even ask me. We were watching it, and I was laughing. I was like, oh, and I was like, and he was just sitting there. I was waiting for him to ask me, and I almost said, "Do you know what that is?" But I didn't.
You didn't. You
But I'm
didn't
like, he has no
embarrass
idea.
him.
He has no
That's
idea.
Probably doesn't. And listen, a lot of women don't either. So if there's any takeaways from this, honestly, from this episode is, guys, look into Diva Cup. Teach your daughters about Diva Cup. Teach your daughters about Diva Cup. Like it's part of
they could do a lot of advertising now and say that they were featured on The Last of Us. They would make a lot of money.
Yeah, they would.
That's
if
true.
you think about it.
They would. Anyway, it's a lifesaver. Anyway. I'm just gonna tell you that I learned about it very late in life, and I got probably a few more years with it. But had I known, I would have saved a lot of money and a lot of other, uncomfortableness. Anyway, so that was very sweet, and like it kind of shows Ellie this sort of side of the world that like, ew, people write like this in their diaries about like boys, and like she just thinks it's.
She didn't know. She wasn't exposed to that, so she wasn't used to.
Right.
Like this is what people have problems with. Boys and what clothes they were wearing and who was talking about who. I mean, that's
yeah.
Can I just say one other really important thing? Is Maria is played by Rutina Welzy, who, as we all know, was Tara on True Blood. I love her. I'm so glad to see this.
We love her.
Yeah, she's fantastic. So she was a new character that we met, and I'm really glad to see her cast as Maria.
They have recycled several characters from HBO shows on this show.
They have. They've got their Rolodex. Oh my God, remember the Rolodex? I shouldn't have said that. That makes me
People might not get that reference, but
no.
After you look up Diva Cup, look up Rolodex.
Yes.
Exactly.
Also look up Nixon and Reagan.
What?
Also look up Nixon and Reagan.
Yeah.
That's for me. Anyway, so go
where
for
are
it.
We? Right. So Joel's gonna leave Ellie with Tommy, so Tommy could take her to the QZ where she needs to go, but he ended up, he
and Ellie found out because she was pissed.
She was pissed. She was pissed. Yeah.
She was pissed. Like, how you were gonna leave me? And she was basically telling him, I thought we were good. I thought we were like bonding and we got each other's backs, and you were just gonna leave me.
Yeah, and then the poor thing is like, I'm not like your daughter. I'm not the same person. You're not.
Oh yes, and that's another thing we should say. She maybe not the whole story, but she does find out about Sarah.
Yeah, so
because Maria has on the wall in the house like a blackboard with
memorial.
Yeah, it's like a memorial that has Sarah's name and date of birth, date of death, and then another name with the date of birth and date of death, which we found out was her child that she had lost. So Ellie found out about Sarah that was Joel's daughter, which she didn't know about because Joel is so closed up and didn't mention anything. So that was a good point, part of the episode too, I thought. So
that was deep because Ellie was like, I like the look on her face. She was like, I had no idea. Like, you could tell. I mean, when you think about anybody who's lost a child like that, you feel deep sorrow for them. It's like, oh my gosh, like that's how this. You don't really think about people's worldview until you learn their stories, and this is a piece of him that he's never told her. And she's probably thinking about like, wow, like he's living with this. It's sad. So she eventually, when she does speak to him, she's like, that's not, me. And that's not gonna happen to me. Anyway, he was like, you better just stop talking. He didn't want to talk about his daughter with her.
Oh, wait, and one more thing. And then that he left that when he left that the room or the house he was in, and he went out, he thought he saw Sarah. I was like,
I know that was so sad.
I was like,
the curly hair, and he was like, I mean, In
That was
some
sad.
ways, don't we all do that some extent, both living and dead? Like, people who are missing from your life, you think you see them sometimes. And that was really sad.
That was pretty sad.
It's a reminder, that he's living with this, that he's moving forward in life without his family.
Yeah.
So that must be rough. Yeah. So
but we find, so Ellie is leaving, it's going to leave with Tommy, and they go to the stables, and Joel's there trying to get a horse. And I kind of think, like he was saying, like, I thought about it, and I think you deserve a choice, like whether you want to stay or go with, either go with me or stay here or go with Tommy, whatever and stuff. But he knew what she was gonna do.
Yeah.
I feel like, she's not gonna say, okay,
because he hardly
I'm staying here. She wants to stay with him.
He hardly could get the whole sentence out, and she was like, "Let's go."
Yeah, exactly. So I think he knew deep down, like she was gonna say, and he wanted to go with. He wanted to be.
He doesn't want to let her go either.
Yeah,
no. Yeah.
You become like a duo when you're going through this kind of life together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll let y'all finish it because that shit was hard for me. I was like,
but then they leave, and they leave the commune, and they have a horse, so they're trekking along in the horse, and they get to this little kind of town, and they're looking around and things, and then you can see, they see people, they see like 3 or 4 people, right, coming out with, they have bats, and they're trying to get out, they're trying to get away, back on the horse to leave. And one of the guys comes with a bat and just swings at them, and Joel has to fight the guy, and he ends up killing the guy. And then we find out that Joel got stabbed with part of the bat.
Right.
But they still have to get away because there's still some more of the guys. And I mean, thankfully they didn't have guns. They could have just shot them.
Yeah.
Thankfully
that would have been it.
Yeah, and they were able to get away with the horse. And they were running after him, but they couldn't chase after the horse, obviously. So they get away, but then they're riding a bit, and Joel collapses. First of all, his face is like ghost white, like
a ghost.
Yeah, and he collapses off the horse, and Ellie gets off.
The blood's just pouring out. He's losing so much blood.
Yeah, and she doesn't know what to do. She's trying to make him sure that he opens his eyes and wakes up, but he's not. So she's like terrified, she's going to be alone. And she has no idea what to do, but yeah. So, I mean, that's where we ended the episode. Yeah. They ended the episode. So next week is going to be cool because they're going to show a lot of Ellie's backstory, which will be nice to see. I think they might show.
Joel dies.
What? No.
Did he die? He died.
He's not dead.
No, he's not dead.
He can't be dead. He can't be dead. The show will be over. He can't be dead. He didn't die. He didn't die.
We don't know if he's dead or alive, but I do not believe that he's dead.
Yeah, right. We don't 100% know, but I don't believe he's dead either.
He better not be dead.
I think what's going to happen next week is they're going to show, part of the show is going to be showing Ellie trying to take care of him, and probably hopefully finding shelter or getting somewhere. Right. And then they're gonna go into her backstory, and then we'll see most of the episode will probably be that.
Did you watch the next episode recap thing that they did at the end?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, well, I don't know.
And
did you see?
They have a season 2 coming out already. He ain't gonna die.
He better not die.
And a lot of the stuff apparently they skipped to where the part where they got to the commune and everything. They skipped to that part because in the game there's a lot of stuff that happens between Henry and that, so they skipped a lot of stuff apparently. I can only think that maybe because they're thinking they want to put basically the whole story in season 1.
Yeah. And
they kind of had to cut out some parts from the game. But now that they have a season 2 coming out, I don't know what they're going to do, how they're going to...
They could probably go back and explore some things from the past.
They might do that. Or this is like a part 2 to the game, so they may do that.
Oh,
No, I don't know what they're gonna do, but yeah.
okay.
Anyway, we'll see. Interesting.
Yeah.
But well, this was
Amazing.
Either way, another great episode. Um, it's keeps getting better and better, I think. And I'm always excited to see the next week and what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So
Yay.
anyway, Angie, any last words about the music?
No, we hear Depeche Mode again at the end of this episode, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So that just means some more trouble is happening. I mean, Depeche Mode spans decades, but I believe that song was from the 80s. So I think so. I don't remember. Like, now I'm mixing up my episodes. I'm really sorry if I'm wrong about that. But anyway, it was definitely an 80s song at the end. So trouble is a coming, guys.
In that world, there's always trouble somewhere. So
yeah,
it seems so. You know, we'll see what happens next week, and we will be back next week with another recap of episode 7. Hope you enjoyed this one, and as always, we are the Horror Flick Chicks. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can see all our podcast episodes, videos, and we are also on various streaming audio platforms as well, so you can download those and check us out. Also, please follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and send us a shout out, send us a DM or something. Just you can say, hey, what's up, or you can like comment on our podcast or on our posts. And you can always comment here on the episode recaps. So again, we'll be back next week, and as always, this is Sandra, Sonia, and Angie of the Horror Flick Chicks signing out, and we will see you next time.
Yes. Peace, love, and horror. Bye.
Bye, guys.
That's the end.